There was a bit of a scuffle between Reform MP Lee Anderson and the anti-Brexit protester, that man, Stop Brexit, Steve Bray in Westminster. Take a look at my video.
500 people.
How many parties have you been in, Lee? You just jumped ship.
And we're done the party in a bit, so make it this one.
That's assault. No. He went for me.
He's a thug.
He just
nothing but a thug.
No, he did. He went for me.
Now listen, these are the options. He's a thug. You need arrested.
You're a coward, a liar, a cheat. It's on camera.
So there we go. It's fair to say, kicked off. Chris, let's talk to you. I was there. I was at PMQs with my colleague Nigel, walking back with Lee Anderson across Parliament Square. Lee was going to a meeting down towards Downing Street. He was spotted by Bray. Bray was on his PA, shouting across for everybody to hear that he was a coward, a thug, a thief, and he intercepted Lee when they crossed, and then it was man bags at dawn.
Westminster clash. Lee Anderson and Steve Bray in heated altercation following Mackay's Westminster was the scene of dramatic political theatre yesterday as Reform UK MP Lee Anderson and notorious anti-Brexit campaigner Steve Bray became embroiled in a physical altercation following Prime Minister's questions. The incident, which unfolded in Parliament Square, saw Anderson, Reform UK's chief whip, attempt to remove Bray's signature hat, an item that, according to reports from GB News, wouldn't come off and may even have been glued in place. Bray, a longtime critic of Brexit and a familiar presence outside Westminster, had been shouting at Anderson through a megaphone, reportedly branding the former Tory deputy chairman a coward, a thug, and a thief before the situation escalated. In video footage that has since gone viral, Anderson can be seen reaching for Bray's hat, while the activist fires back with a scathing retort. "How many parties have you been in, Lee? You just jumped shit." While Anderson's response was unclear, his apparent physical engagement prompted an immediate reaction from Bray, who accused the MP of assault before pushing him away. The altercation drew the attention of police officers stationed nearby, who swiftly intervened to separate the two men. As tensions flared, Anderson pointed at Bray and declared, "He's a thug. He needs arresting." In a statement issued later, Anderson doubled down on his criticism of Bray, describing him as a professional nuisance and a menace to upstanding political figures like myself. He added pointedly, "The sooner this individual is carted off to the job centre, the better." GB News commentator Martin Daubney, who was present during the clash, provided further context, stating that he had been walking back from PMQs with Anderson when Bray spotted them and began shouting abuse over a P system. According to Daubney, Bray then physically intercepted Anderson, sparking the dramatic confrontation. The clash marks yet another high-profile confrontation between Bray and prominent Brexiteers, raising fresh questions about the boundaries of political protest and the increasingly fractious nature of British political discourse. Whether the incident leads to further action, legal or political, remains to be seen, but it has already set Westminster abuzz with speculation over how far such public confrontations should be allowed to go.
They've been piling up for weeks now, and things are likely to get worse. In some parts of the city, people say the waste hasn't been collected since the middle of last month.
Everywhere you go in Birmingham at the moment, all the bins are out every day like this because they're hoping somebody will come along and collect them, but it's just not happening, and in the end you end up with this kind of scene everywhere. Piles and piles of rubbish, clear signs of rat infestation, and no sign that this is going away soon.
The all-out strike began this morning. They're prepared, they say, to stay out until the summer unless the council backs down. In the meantime, the rubbish is piling up. This has been breakfast, lunch and dinner for the rats, regularly seen feasting on the rubbish piled up here.
Doesn't seem to be any sign of agreement then, and it does feel like this is going to get a lot worse before there's any resolution, and they have said that they're prepared to strike until the summer.
Labour's local government crisis. Rubbish piles up as unions flex their muscles, the streets of Birmingham are drowning in refuse, and the stench of political dysfunction is just as political dysfunction. This week, Business Secretary Kemi Badenoch took to social media to highlight the mounting waste crisis in the UK's second-largest city, calling it a symbol of what happens when Labour is in charge. Her message was blunt. Labour councils deliver trash, both figuratively and literally. The latest dispute in Birmingham stems from a crippling financial crisis within the Labour-run City Council, which recently declared itself effectively bankrupt, citing years of mismanagement, budget overruns, and a disastrous equal pay scandal that could cost up to £1 billion. The council has imposed emergency spending restrictions. But now, as refuse workers stage strikes over pay disputes, the crisis has reached the streets. Quite literally, bin bags and discarded waste have piled up across the city, attracting rats and raising public health concerns. Residents, already bearing the brunt of spiraling council tax bills, now face the grim reality of living in squalor. The images circulating on social media have sparked public anger, with many questioning how a once prosperous city fell into such disrepair. At the heart of the crisis lies a familiar dynamic: the Labour Party's dependence on trade unions. Unions remain a major financial and political backer of Labour, and their influence over local governance is undeniable. Critics argue that Birmingham's leadership, beholden to union demands, is incapable of standing firm against disruptive industrial action. Conservative politicians have seized the moment, painting the crisis as emblematic of Labour's failure in local government. During Prime Minister's questions, Rishi Sunak referenced the situation, contrasting the Conservative-led approach to fiscal responsibility with what he described as Labour's penchant for financial ruin. "People vote Labour, and all they get is trash," Badenoch quipped on X, formerly Twitter, encapsulating the frustration felt by many Birmingham residents. Labour's response, however, has been less than reassuring. The party insists that the financial black hole is due to years of government underfunding, arguing that Tory austerity measures have left councils across the country on the brink of collapse. Birmingham's leadership has promised to resolve the crisis, but with mounting debts, angry residents, and union pressure, the road ahead looks bleak. Birmingham's crisis is not an isolated incident. Other Labour-run councils, including Croydon and Slough, have also declared bankruptcy in recent years. The pattern suggests deeper systemic issues within Labour's approach to governance, or financial planning, reliance on union backing, and an inability to make tough spending decisions. With a general election looming, the Conservatives are likely to use Birmingham as a cautionary tale, a preview of what the country could face under a Labour government. Whether voters buy into that argument remains to be seen. But for Birmingham residents wading through streets of filth, the failures of their local leadership are impossible to ignore. As refuse piles up and political blame games continue, one thing is clear: Labour's grip on Britain's cities is being tested, and the smell of discontent is growing stronger by the day.